Hello, this is Elaine Littaw. I am in my tower, my sewing tower craft room, where I do most of my crafting and sewing work. But I have been known to write some of my books up here. Well, I decided that I might read something aloud for Facebook. For those of you who may not have read all my books, and it was suggested that I read the book of the funny stories in my life, and it's called Three Teeth and a Toenail. The reason it's called that is because it sounds tragic, but it was a funny story about me working off a ladder, trying to paint the apex of my roof, and I fell off the ladder, and the result was losing 3 teeth and a toenail. That's not even the story about me falling in my patio and losing another tooth and breaking a jaw and stuff. But that, I didn't think that was all that funny, so I didn't write it down. Okay. I thought this has so many different stories in it. I will read okay, I'll read the ones about the animals first, okay? Now, if you find this funny or interesting and want to get a Kindle version of this, it will be free this week from I think it would be Monday to Friday. No, Monday to Sunday. So it's on Amazon, and you look up my name, Elaine Littaw, and then if you see 3 Teeth and a Toenail on the list of books I've written, that one will be free for 5 days. Anyway, this is some of the animal stories. A pup and a cat or two. In 1986, my friend Boss brought a puppy to our house. It was a blonde Cocker Spaniel. He was tiny, and we called him Buttons. Our boys later called him Buddy, but Buttons was the name of a little doggie that my sister and her family had. I really loved that dog. If there ever was a Dr. Doolittle, Terry would be him. He was in dog heaven when he got this pup. Day after day, all of us played with the little puppy. After a little while, Terry began to get concerned because the doggie never barked. He decided that maybe Buttons needed some barking instructions. He took on the project, decided that he had taught the dog too well. Buttons was a very funny dog. We had a peach tree in the backyard. He ate green peaches as far as he could reach. He wasn't interested in them after they ripened. When we moved to the country, he loved running through the pastures and sleeping with the boys when they camped out. The only trouble was he got cockleburrs in the fur around his ears. My mom and aunt told me to put oil on his ears and they would slide out. I did it, but his ears just got dirty. Finally, we took him to the groomer. He ended up shearing him all over. His big fluffy ears looked like potato chips. When I brought him home, Terry drove up and asked, "Whose dog is that?" "Yours." "Mine?" I said, "Yeah, Buddy." "Yeah? Really? Oh, man." We had a calico cat named Fifth Wheel that really loved Buttons. When you saw one, you saw the other. One day I looked out the window and saw Fifth Wheel riding on Buttons' back like a cowboy. I didn't have a camera. It was really funny. Terry actually saw this too. We had a pet cat that was very dear to us because he was an orphan that Stephen had found in the park. We bottle fed him and named him Cupcake. He looked like Sylvester, the cartoon cat. He was so ornery that Terry called him the Scamp. He and Fifth Wheel came to our family the same year. One day I fixed us all of us steaks. The scamp jumped on the table and stole Terry's steak. I think each of the boys have told me that the scamp stole one of their steaks at one time or another as well. Terry ran after him, hollering as he went. The boys and I just laughed our heads off. We went on vacation to San Antonio to find that they had left while we were gone. We still miss those those cats. I accidentally ran over Buttons when he darted in front of the Suburban to get a toad. I still haven't gotten over that. Vinny. One spring day, as I drove down the curvy road to our country house, I noticed one of my nieces had come to visit. Tina and Terry both looked up quickly, and she jumped into her car and peeled out down another road. I wondered about her hurry. When I got out of the car, the boys were jumping up and down in excitement. They came running to show me a little Dalmatian pup. "Look what Tina brought us. Isn't he great? We love him," they yelled. Terry tilted his head and said, "Babe, we named him Vinny." "Oh," I said, realizing why Tina had burned rubber in leaving. Each night when the boys took him to bed with them, Vinny was their constant companion. During the day, Vinny lived outside. He enjoyed cutting his teeth on the redwood patio furniture. He even dismantled all of it bit by bit. He decided he liked the taste of firewood. We found firewood logs that had the bark peeled off and the logs gnawed on. He used to hang the laundry on a clothesline until he ate holes in the new school clothes we had purchased for the boys. He liked to run away with anything he thought we wanted. It was all a game to him. Terry was always chasing Vinny. One day he stole a bolt off the garage floor while Terry was working on the mower. The chase was on. The doggy finally allowed Terry to catch him and get the bolt, only to steal something else he was using to fix the mower. The boys loved to play paintball with their friends. Vinny liked to run in front of them and get blasted with paint. He followed them everywhere and was a great companion to them. I think they missed him more than their dad and me when they left for college. That's okay. He was a great dog. Okay, let me see. I'm going to find another story. Okay. The underground fence. Terry's an animal lover, but he has had bad luck with keeping a dog around our place in the country. So far, we have been through a lot of dogs. Buttons, Vinny, Shasta, Samson, and Delilah, and the dog we speak of and the dog we speak of today. We got a new dog that we thought was a lab pup, but he was an older dog that looked like a lab sawed off at the knees. The black dog ran away to a neighbor's house. Mr. Blassingame, who lives 1.5 miles away, called the number on the dog's collar. He asked if we wanted our chicken-killing dog, and I said yes. Terry was in quandary. How could he train this chicken-killing dog? He stewed and worried and stewed, and he refused to have a dog on a chain. Terry recalled a conversation with a neighbor about an underground fence. It's electric wire that's placed 1 inch underground. He thought that sounded promising. He called PetSmart in Amarillo and got a kid on the line. He asked how much it would cost for the fence system. This kid said the collar was $100 and the wire was $55 per foot. Terry was astonished and asked if he meant $55 per roll. No, after calculating using those figures, Terry winced an astounding amount of $88,000 for a collar and 1,500 foot of wire. Even he couldn't justify spending $88,000 on a dog fence. He came home downtrodden and said, I don't know how to find out what those things really cost. We decided it was time to start a search on the internet because Terry assured me that calling PetSmart would lead to another ill-informed boy. We found a system on a collar for $200. He ordered it and it arrived quickly. After opening the box, he discovered the instruction manual for training the dog. It was the size of a large Sears Roebuck catalog. He gulped. Man, it was like a magazine. He took it to work to read and study, and while he waited in line to unload his load of oil. As he walked through the door after work, he slammed the book on the counter and said, a man don't have time to do things the way they say it has to be done. Well, what has to be done? I asked. Well, first I have to get home before dark, and then it's impossible. I will just get the thing set up and figure out what to do later. Terry only had Sundays off, so he drafted his brother to come and assist him after church and help make a shallow trench around the 3 acres of our land. They used an old rototiller that wouldn't start and drug it around with the lawn tractor. Terry drove and Daniel jogged behind, studying the tiller. I watched. I didn't think to get a picture. It would have been worth it. Daniel's legs flew behind him like a cartoon character. The next Sunday, he placed a little white flags every 10 foot as per the instructions. The white flags are supposed to provide a visual warning to the doggy. So Terry, according to the instruction, took the dog to every flag and tried to show them to him. When Terry came into the house, he growled at me and said, I can't get that stupid dog to even look at the stupid flag. I practically stuck it up his nose and he just looked past it. How am I supposed to do this for 45 minutes a day for 2 days? Who has that kind of time? No, I have to admit I laughed. Not a good move at the time. The next night, he tried taking out the dog with a flashlight because it got home after dark. But when he came in, he said, this don't work at all. He put the dog in front of the flag and the dog wouldn't look at it. He even put the flag up to his nose. He looked to the side. He didn't want to look at any of the flags. Terry was frustrated. The next Sunday, he didn't want to fool with the flags and decided to do an abbreviated training. Put the collar on the dog. As the dog approached the flags, which marked the border, a clicking sound was a warning. Then if the doggy continues, he gets what's officially called a static correction. Kind of a shock. You're supposed to only let him hear the click and then quickly pull him out of the zone with much praise and affection as you go to every flag. You're supposed to only have 3 to 15-minute sessions with 5 or 6 flags. Terry decided to cut to the chase and let the dog hear the clicking sound and walk him through the static correction. The dog turned and ran, dragging Terry behind. Terry dragged him back, proceeded with his way of training. When Terry came into the house, he said, Babe, you won't believe that dog. He's petrified of the flags now. I asked what happened. Well, I drug him through the first electric shock, then he ran and I got him, and I drug him through the second and started toward the third, and he flopped down in his belly like this. Before I knew it, Terry was sprawled out on the living room floor like a big bear rug. I laughed my head off. He said the dog made a beeline for the doghouse. After Terry took the collar off, we looked out the door and saw his dog friends eating his food and drinking his water, and he wouldn't even look out the doorway of his doghouse at them. He wouldn't come to Terry for a day or so. When I told Kevin, my nephew, about all of this, he asked, well, what is that dog's name? I don't think you ever said. I answered, Sparky. He howled with laughter. Until then, I hadn't seen the irony in it. Anyway, that's just a couple of the stories, and we had a lot of fun and through the years and all the different stories in here. And I think that it's a free book for a few days. So if you're interested, you can get 3 Teeth and a Toenail on Amazon. You can also get it as a paperback book. I think it's listed at $11. But the Kindle book is free for 5 days. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.